And then I did receive your videos, those short little ones. So we'll also share some of those
Right.
too. So thank you for
Oh,
that.
perfect. Good, good. Okay, so hello, my name is Kristen Randolph. Happy to have you guys here today. It looks like we have a little bit of a mixture of brand new families, maybe as of the end of last week or this weekend, and families who are veterans, like Anthony said, of a week. So if you have been here a week and have been working in your program and with your teachers, congratulations. You have made it a week. And I know it sometimes has probably been some tough parts of your week, but that's okay. It does get better. It's just getting into that rhythm and routine and getting used to kind of the online platform. But what I thought we'd do today is, since we have a mixture here, I'm going to go through, I think I'm going to go through, and Anthony, let me know if you were thinking something different. I think I'm going to go through the role of the student, the learning coach, and the teacher, and then give an overview of the online school and get into the demo, and then take some questions. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds great.
Perfect. Okay. So some of you, if you've been in a session before, have probably seen this, but if you have not, this is a very important slide, I think. So feel free, put your questions in the chat. What I'm going to do is kind of go through the online school, and like I said, roles and responsibilities, and then I'll go look at the questions. So I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to make it so it's not a choppy presentation, answering questions, going back and forth. So roles and responsibilities. It is really important to have that communication and partnership with the student, the learning coach, who would be the teacher, or that, sorry, now I'm messing up, the student, the learning coach, which would be the parent or caring adult working with the student, as well as the teachers from the school, and making sure you guys have that communication going with all of these parts. And I'm just going to go a little bit deeper into, what is the role of the student? What is the role of the learning coach, that caring adult? And what is the role of a teacher? Because I think this is really good and kind of puts into perspective what you guys will be doing, especially you newbies. So the role of a student, it is important that you follow your lesson plans every day and complete the work on your lesson plan. And you're going to put in about 4 to 6 hours as a student doing work from your online school. It does depend upon your student themselves, as well as their grade level, as to how much time they will spend in there. There is some live instruction sessions, so make sure your student is attending and participating in those, or if there's office hours that they're going in and asking questions. There are small group sessions, those private individual sessions, conferences with their teacher. It does vary by grade level. Make sure your student is logging in through their student account. So if you've received your email to set up your learning coach and student account, it first has you set up your learning coach, then it'll have your student set up your student, but make sure your student is going in through that student account. Complete coursework and any work samples your teacher requests, and they'll let you know that ahead of time. Your student also, again, needs to actively participate in the course, doing those lessons, going to any sessions with their teacher and participating in those sessions with their teacher, as well as reading and respond to emails daily. Okay, so what is the role of a learning coach? The learning coach is that caring adult, that person working at home with your student during the day, giving them that extra support. So it is important to communicate with your teacher, making sure you're reading and responding to emails, if there's any phone calls, things like that, as a learning coach. Help your student organize materials. So the night before, or maybe early the next morning, depending on how your schedule works out, make sure you're pulling any materials that they need for the next day's lessons. It just makes the next day go so much smoother if you have those materials already laid out. And I'll show you where all of that is as well. Monitor your students' progress. I'll show you a screen. It's very easy to see how your student's doing, making sure that they are understanding what they're learning and supporting and encouraging them. Then also you can track their progress, check grades, and ensure your students meeting their goals. You're going to provide that schedule support. So you are going to help your student create a schedule. When are they going to start in the morning? Do they have any sessions that they're going to go to with their teacher? What lesson are we going to start with first? Making sure they're finishing their lessons on their lesson plan. And again, for the learning coach, you're going to put in about 4 to 6 hours a day, depending on your student and their grade level. You're going to help them with course navigation in the beginning. If those of you who've already started, I'm sure you've seen that some. You're kind of trying to figure your way out. Where are things? Where do I find the materials? That type of items. But you're going to need to help your student do that too. Even if they're in middle school, they do need that help in the beginning, just finding their way around. They'll catch on so quickly. They'll end up showing you how to get around, is what I found. But make sure you're supporting them in that area. Providing that lesson guide support, especially those younger guys going through the lesson. Entering attendance, help your student work independently and with offline materials. And then finally, your district or school will let you know if there's any district or state tests that you will be participating in. They'll let you know ahead of time when and where that is, and just make sure your student is getting to those tests. And then finally, the role of the teacher. So the teacher is there, again, communicate. You're going to hear me say it over and over again. Communicate with you and your student. They will communicate within 24 hours. They're there to help engage and motivate students. And also they're going to share resources with you. So some will be Stride resources, some will be their own resources. But it's important to know that your teacher is your number one form of communication. They're your number one person. I call them your cheerleader. So if you're having trouble with something or struggling or have a question, whether it's the learning coach or the student, please reach out to your teacher and ask them. They'll be able to send you in the right direction or give you those resources to help you. They are a partner your partner in education. They're curriculum specialists, and they're there to help you. Also, like I mentioned, first point of contact for families. They manage the online classroom. So setting up those guidelines, setting up the classroom, making sure your pacing is on track. They're going to be there and help you do that. They're going to provide assessment and instructional support, whether it's checking on the mastery of skills in a one-on-one lesson or a group session. They're also going to be there to help support your students' individual needs and look at data to help kind of drive their instruction that they have. They're going to provide feedback, whether it's in small group or large group, or maybe it's feedback on an assignment that they're going to respond back to, but they will let you and your student know how they're doing. And then they're going to communicate and facilitate those large and small group instruction areas. Again, they're going to support with compliancy reporting. So any attendance issues, truancy, student progress issues, they bubble that up to administration. So let me see here. I did want to take you through the online school because I think that's important just to kind of see the online school. And those of you who have been in here, it's probably going to be a bit of a refresher, but I think I'll be able to show you something that maybe you didn't catch on our first round that now, since you've been in there, you'll kind of see it and go, oh, that's where that was. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to log into the Learning Coach, the Caring Adults landing page. Then I'm going to go into the K-5 landing page, and then I'm going to go into the middle school landing page. You'll notice they all look a little different, but I'm logging in from this same area. So it's just one web page you go to log in. And I'm entering my Learning Coach credentials. And as I come in here, this is my very first page that comes up. It tells me my students' lessons for today. This is my plan for today. If I have multiple students with the school, I can click the drop down arrow here, find my student's name. This is a demo account, so it's a first grader. Click on that student and it'll bring up my lesson plan as a learning coach for today. So this is what we are going to be working on today. As it comes up, you can see it says my courses here. It says my students' assignments that they're going to do here, when it's due, and their progress. So if I hover over progress, it'll say this activity is not complete. It's an open circle. If it has a green check mark, it means we've completed that lesson for the day. We've already done it. So I can see kind of where we are that day. If it's a partially closed circle, it means they've partially completed the lesson. So I can very easily see where we are and what we're doing. I also have Class Connect sessions over here. It'll tell me if it's optional or not, that I can go in and I know my student's going to need to do that. I can also look at my weekly view. And this is where I can kind of plan for the week. So if you're looking ahead of the week, come in here Sunday night, kind of look and see what's going on. When are the sessions that are optional? When are the sessions that are required? And then also gives you your lessons for that week.
Kristen, can I ask you, right now, that wouldn't be populated, correct? Because our teachers would have to put those hours in there. Otherwise, the parents won't see anything in there.
Correct.
Office hours.
Correct. Your teachers would put in, yes. Yes. So your teachers would put these in. So if you see them in here, then they're ready to go. Right now, your teachers may not have entered those yet, but you will be seeing lessons, because I think your teachers have gotten in there, correct, and done lessons, or not yet?
No, not yet. So right now.
Not yet. Okay, so it's coming.
Right.
Okay, so this is actually a really good review then, because you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go into courses and show you the courses view. This is that view I was talking about that kind of gives you the overall view of how your student's doing. So at any point as a learning coach, you can jump in here and say, okay, how is my student doing? There's no surprises. Here's my course. It'll have your student's grade right here. It also shows their progress, how far along they are in that course. If there's any overdue assignments, that'll show up here. So you can see, oh gosh, we need to get this going. The last time your student logged in to the online school, and then you can email your teacher. So right here, what's nice about these is anywhere you see a link is somewhere that's going to take you deeper and give you more information. So if I were to click on courses, it's going to take me to this art course, and it's going to show me all the units of study and the lessons for my art course. Grade would also be hyperlinked. So if I click on grade, it's going to take me in and show me all of my students' grade that wrap up into their art grade. Same with progress. I can click here. It's going to give me more information. So just keep in mind, any link is giving you more information. For those elementary kiddos, we do have a reading fluency tab. And 3 times a year, your student will get a benchmark test on the online program to see where they are in reading. So if you kind of look way down at the bottom here, it tells me, okay, my student took this on last year. I can come in here, I can see the date taken, the level that they're at, target level, the instructional reading level. I can see all of these other great things right here that you can use, but it also shows me if they're on or above grade level or below grade level. And I can go back and listen to my student reading to hear how they did. What I like about this, and again, this is just for elementary, this part, what I like about this is it actually gives you their instructional reading level. And we have a online library, it's called Big Universe, that you can go to as a parent or your student and get in there, and I'll show you how to do that. But you can go in there and actually choose your students, or they can choose their instructional reading level to choose a book. So they can search by that level to choose a book. That way your student is not reading a book that's too easy and they're just flying through it, and they're not reading a book that's too hard and they're just frustrated and don't want to read it. So that's a nice feature there. I was checking out the chat, but I'm not sure if I probably should wait. I'm not sure if it's responding to something else earlier. Is it Jocelyn's? Is that the Big Universe isn't working? Is that what you mean? Or am I looking above? Big Universe. Okay, so it's only the day of. So that's probably because it's not set up yet. If your teachers don't have the items in there yet, then it's not going to show that yet. It's just going to show them what's there. And Big Universe, you can get to it 2 ways. So up here, there's this little down arrow. You can go to your account, check out your account. You can file share something with your teacher, but here's that Big Universe library that your students can go into. And this is how you go into it from your Learning Coach account. Your student can also go into it through their account, which I'll show you as well. And then you have materials coming. So with that, I wanted to show you where you can track your materials, because everybody wants to know, where are my materials? When are they getting here? Up here at the top, it would say your name. I can go in here and click My Info. From My Info, it's going to give me more information. And it has all my students here. I have lots of students. I'm going to stick with first grade. And as I go into my first grade student, I have my student account. I have courses and classrooms if I want to see those. But what I'm looking for is my orders. And this is where you're going to see your orders, your shipping orders that your student has coming. You may see one order, you may see two orders. It really depends on the student's grade level and what materials they're going to be receiving. But I can see the order date, I can see the order status. And if I click on this order number, it actually will take me to tracking my shipment here. So it's a great area to see, okay, where are my materials? And if by chance your materials aren't there when your first lesson comes up, that's okay too, because there's PDFs in the lessons that you can actually pull up and use those as well, rather than starting like with the math book. So if your teacher is going to put lessons on there and get started in those, don't fret if you don't have that math workbook yet. Okay, so here is my schedule. If your teacher happens to schedule anything just for you as the learning coach. Elementary school has this attendance here. You go in and enter your attendance. You also enter it at the end of the lesson for elementary school students. So at the end of the lesson, it'll ask you to put your attendance in for that day or for that course at that lesson, and then also mark the lesson complete. And you put in your learning coach account credentials to do that. And then announcements, any announcements that maybe your teacher or school has for you is right here. But I actually wanted to jump back and show you what it would look like, because we have our plan here, but we need more information to be able to teach this lesson. So let me show you how to do that. And this is different. This is where it's going to look just a tad different. This is what it's going to look like for elementary. It looks a little bit different for elementary than middle school. So elementary, tune in. Middle school, hold on, I'll show you, I promise. So if I were to click on, remember I said, this is back at my schedule. This is my schedule for today. If I were to click on any of these hyperlinks, it's going to take me into that lesson or unit of study. So I'm going to click on math. And I'm just looking for more information to teach math today, is really what I'm looking at here. Since I clicked on my math program, it's bringing up my unit list as well as my lessons. You can see we've completed this lesson. There's a green check. This one is not completed. It's an open circle. So I'm seeing questions come in. So give me a second. I'm actually going to stop because as we're going through, I don't want to miss something. So give me just one sec here. I'm just going to kind of scroll up. So let me kind of look through. Anthony, I think this is a question that you're going to have to answer based on your school. Are you guys requiring them to do PE every day, even when it's not on the schedule, or is it just when it's on the schedule?
We would require whatever the requisite amount of minutes are by the state, which would be 100 minutes. So if they're not able to do it within Stride, they can also kind of just do it themselves too. Okay. Then there's a question, are the live instruction sessions small group sessions on Stride or the ones with the teachers from, those are going to be with your teachers? Yes. So you have access to your teacher's instruction. Oh, and you already answered that. Sorry. You're ahead of me. Okay. The links for history textbooks are not working when I look at orders. It says nothing is being sent for history. We have not been able to work on history all week. Oh, and you have your grade level. Okay, so let me look into history 7th grade. And I've got to look at materials, what ships for that. I'm not sure off the top of my head what ships. Okay. Okay, so there's a question, do we have to list attendance in both places at the end of the lesson and in the learning coach attendance location? You do not. That's a great question. So if you are, this is for elementary, if you are logging attendance after the lesson, at the end of the lesson, you do not have to then go back in and log in the learning coach area. That's more if your student, you run to put a load of laundry in and your student ends up clicking through the lesson and doesn't tell you, hey, it's time, put that in, you can go back to the learning coach area and put it in that way as well. So it's just another area you can do that. Anthony, so what are your attendance policies? Because I'm not exactly sure. There's a question here. We have to put attendance hours for them not to be marked absent, and I can review how to put those in, but how does that work with you guys?
So our attendance policy is threefold, which is number one, attendance is taken during live instruction. So those, we're asking parents to attend the live one or students to attend the live ones. And then number two, any hours that we were asking the kids to do about 4 to 6 hours of work based on their grade level. And so any hours that Stride does not automatically capture, which is like if the kids are working on a book that they're reading and maybe they read the book on their own for 10-15 minutes, then we would ask parents then to go ahead and capture the work that the kids are doing that are not on Stride. Because my understanding is that Stride will capture the amount of time that kids are spending on the website, but it won't capture all of that time, and it won't capture all the time that they're not doing when they're not on the website, if I'm correct.
So yes, so for middle school, that's the case. And then elementary school, parents are going to be logging their attendance after the lesson. So it sounds like, and this is great that you guys are doing this because I totally agree. It sounds like if your student is going to bed and reading a book at night, you can log that attendance for elementary in with the K-12 or Stride attendance. Is that correct? They can log that in with that?
That's correct.
Perfect. So what about like the sessions with their teacher? Can they log that time too for that subject?
They could. I wouldn't know yet. I don't know how to do that, but yes, they would be able to do that.
Okay. So for Stride, you can log those hours in your PE attendance for K-5. Okay, so there's a question here. So yes, Amber, in the beginning, it could be over 4 hours just getting started. I promise it does get a little quicker once you get into your rhythm routine. In the beginning, I tell parents this is like a brand new job and you're learning where things are and how to get around and you're getting in that routine with your student. So it does get better. But Anthony, if they're logging over 4 hours but not finishing all the lessons that day, can they complete the rest on the weekends?
I would imagine yes. Yeah, they could, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, from my standpoint, they can, but from a school standpoint, you're going to have to remember which lessons those are because our lessons do roll over. So I'll show you where you can print them out so you can remember which lessons roll over so you stay on track.
And that could also depend on once the teachers have learned how to do due dates on certain assignments, then they may ask the kid to do due dates. Right now, since a lot of the parents we're still getting teachers in place because they're collapsing classes around the district right now. And some of those teachers that are being displaced from their classrooms will be moved into the independent study program. So right now we have our coaches, who is Mr. Huffaker and who is Miss Cicada, who have been kind of holding down the fort right now for all of our kids K through 8. But once they start to transfer over, then our teachers will be put into place and they'll go through the training. So I wouldn't worry too much yet about falling behind because our teachers have not yet even been putting in assignments. So, whatever I think what parents are seeing right now, Kristen, is that we have right now the push out. And so they're seeing maybe lessons on top of lessons kind of piling up on each other. And so right now my recommendation is just continue to work through them. And I think there'll be a certain point where as a teacher takes over and kind of understands the system, they'll be able to say like, okay, we're going to now start, here's like the fresh start where we're going to assign this particular lesson and it's due in a couple days. So right now as parents, I would just continue practicing, working, understanding the system, working through some of the lessons, and using those as ways to learn the platform for now.
Yeah, that's a great, I think that's great advice. So yes, okay, so I'm going to go back and show you, because I actually wanted to show you, oh, 8th grade and attendance. You don't have to mark attendance for 8th grade like you do for K-5 at the end of the lesson. Middle school, you're marking the lessons complete, and it takes the time working in that lesson. So it automatically kind of pulls that time. Oh, good. You put Amber's mind at ease, Anthony. Good. Yes. Yes. Just keep it on, right? So you got it. Okay. So now we're talking elementary here. So keep in mind, I promise I'll show you middle school. So elementary, I came in here, I just clicked on one of my lessons because I want to know what to do. In here, it took me to the unit list, and it just gives me the whole unit list. Where I like to go, and everybody's got their own personal preference, but where I like to go is this plan. And these are all my students. I'm going to go to my daily plan. And this is my plan for today. It's the same plan that was in that first schedule view that I looked at. This just gives me more information. So I can come in here again. I can see if something's been completed. I can see if there's a quiz or unit checkpoint for that lesson. I can also come in here and see what materials I'll need. So when you do get your materials, this will help you plan the night before, the morning of, however you want to do it. But this will give me all my materials I will need for that day. And you can switch to the next day if you want to look ahead here. So I can see that my student needs this activity book. This is actually a hyperlink, and it will give you that PDF that I talked about that your student can type on the computer if you don't have your materials yet. It also gives me, as a learning coach, this lesson guide. So maybe I'm not sure about this lesson and I'd feel more comfortable with the lesson guide. It's always nice kind of starting out with the lesson guide and looking that over. Again, for language arts, there's a lesson guide. This is something you can just look at. You don't have to print it. But this is how you're going to kind of prepare for the day before of this. So pencils, paper, crayons, things like that. So I'm going to close this out.
I do want to add to that, Miss Kristen, is that because our students are using iPads, it may not be as easy to access some of the PDFs. So this is kind of what we're learning as we're going along. So if you are having trouble accessing the PDFs, we're suggesting a couple of things. Number one, come visit our coach during the office hours, and they can help you show some of the workarounds on how you could open it in one of the apps. Another thing is you can do a similar activity. So for example, if it's saying, add these numbers up, you can use that PDF, or you can use something else that's similar to it and then log those hours in. So until you get your materials. So, don't stress about having to print out, also like 100 pages because you're having to print out 26 letters of the alphabet. So, or that you can't download the PDF. So, that's kind of what we're suggesting if you're not able to access some of the materials on the student iPads.
No, that's good to know. Definitely good to know since you guys have iPads. Okay, so this was the daily view, same view as before. I can just get deeper in here. I can click on the lesson and see the lesson ahead of time if I want to look through the lesson. And I can also go up here to the weekly plan. So this is where someone was saying, gosh, I didn't finish. And Anthony said, you know what, right now we're just getting used to it. Just take your time, it's okay. But ultimately, your goal, once your teacher gets in there and everybody gets settled, is to do your lessons on the plan. So as I scroll down, this is my weekly plan. I personally printed this out, so I can print this out. You don't have to. You don't have to have a printer. You definitely don't have to. You can come back and look. But what I like to do is tell parents on Sunday night, come in here once your teacher has everything, all the different office hours and things up. It's great to have that printed out too, but come in here, make this your lesson plan book. So when I print it out, I would then, I even grab my pen to do it. I would then go and say, okay, math, I'm going to now go for that day. I'm going to look at my materials and I'm going to write down, I need page 23. And then I'm going to go for the next day. Okay, sums through 20. And I may write down, I need this. Then there's a unit review. Gosh, we really had trouble with this with through 16. So I'm going to write above here, I'm going to put practice sons through 16 before they take that quiz or the review. So this can kind of work as your lesson plan book. Also, on your online school, let's say you didn't get to fitness. Let's say you did everything but fitness. It actually rolls over to the next time you're supposed to have fitness. So my next fitness class here is on Wednesday. This one will disappear after Monday, will disappear from Monday. It moves to Wednesday. That kicks this fitness class to the following Monday, because that's the next time that class is. So by printing this out, if you are having trouble kind of staying on track once you get into the groove and your teacher's letting you know what's going on, this will let you know kind of, okay, maybe we need to do that extra math lesson on the weekend because we didn't end up getting to it at this point. And then also, like Anthony said, that your teacher could give due dates too. So if some things do have due dates, you obviously, want to get them done by that due date, but not everything will have an exact due date. It may be just that week. Bummer, okay, when we are doing the work, when you're in the online, in your student account, Jocelyn, I'm thinking, I've not seen that error before. Is it when you do, okay, thank you. Is it when you're working in a lesson, or are you going to, I'm trying to kind of think, yes, and not when you're trying to get to a PDF, because I know Anthony said that PDFs may be an issue on an iPad. Trying to read a story. Have you heard of any issues, Anthony, with iPads and the stories?
We've had a number of issues with links not working.
Okay.
And so that's been a challenge for many of our parents. Specifically, like the music links are not working with our elementary. So, we're not sure if there were a compatibility issue with our iPads, or whether that's something that can be resolved on then. But we have.
Is this something Sam is aware of?
We've been sharing that with her, yes.
Okay. I'll double back with her and just kind of let her know what we're hearing here too, guys. That's good to know. History won't let you allowed to read books on well. Okay. I'm adding that to the thing and we'll look into this. Okay. History.
Yeah, one of the big issues has been big universe, and some parents saying that they're not able to get into it.
Okay. Sorry, I am making notes. So I'll get back with Sam and circle back, but thank you guys for letting us know. I'm kind of got my fingers crossed it's not the iPad issue. Okay, so I mentioned things rolling over, and so you kind of have to keep that in mind. And then you can go into a lesson from here as well. And going into the lesson, you just click right here, it'll take you in, but I'm going to show you that from the student view. Okay, so keep in mind, I'm still K5 here, so I'm going to go into the student view. Oh, I'm in the learning coach, hold on. I thought I had that keyed up, but it wasn't. Where's my, okay, there we go. Here's my student view, elementary. I promise I'll get into middle school. So there's a question about your plan, and my guess on that is that if you don't have all six, well, you're not going to have all 6 subjects a day. So some do like PE or 2 days a week, sometimes art and music 2 days a week. They kind of filter like that. But also, once your teachers get in there, they'll kind of look at your plan and get that going. So right now, just kind of get used to going through things, kind of get a feel for the platform. Yep, it really depends it depends if your teacher's in there yet, as well as if you are just getting in. I'm not sure when you got your link, but if you are just getting in, it may not have your courses set up yet in there. Wednesday. I'd have to check and see what it is, but give it today, because it should be coming in. Are you guys, Anthony, are you guys, I don't remember if you are system integrated or, hold on, I'm looking.
That's whether once parents receive their registration ID and login, whether they can see the courses right away.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're not seeing it right away, but I don't know, do you have like a second wave of courses coming in, or just maybe teachers?
That I don't know. Like
Okay.
so far our teachers have not, we've been relying on the push out from Stride because we have not been pushing any assignments out yet.
Okay. Making a note. Okay. Yes, Class Connect page will not be showing anything yet. That'll happen once your teachers get in there and put any sessions on. So good, that's a great question. Yes. Okay, so here is your elementary student view. When your teacher gets on, you will see these Class Connect sessions up here starting to pop up, and that's where you know, your student will know that they have something going on. All they do is click on this link and it takes them directly into that session with their teacher. There's no additional login. Here is their plan for today. These are the exact same plans that you had in your Learning Coach view, except for it's the student view, and they're going to take them into the lesson. So as I click here on a math lesson, and it sounds like some of you are already in there, which is great, but I'll just show you just to give you a couple bits of information here. I'm going to go back because I already started this lesson. So here's the start of my lesson. We do have this reading toolbar up here at the top that sometimes is kind of hard to see. We have this for middle school as well. So what I can do is I can highlight a word or set of words, and the computer will read it to me. I have a focus tool. Maybe there's a lot going on the screen and I want to focus. I also have this define tool. So maybe I'm not sure about a word. I can click define. It'll read the word to me, because if I don't know what it is, I may not be able to pronounce it. And it'll also read the definition, or I can read it. And then finally, we have the translate feature. So you can go into settings, choose a language, and hit translate. And it'll bring up that translation here, as well as you can read it in that language, or the computer will read it to you in that language. And I'm just going to kind of scroll through here for a minute, just to kind of give you an idea for those of you who don't have your courses up yet, what it kind of looks like. We do start out, all of our lessons kind of start out this way. There's that practice. So something that you've already learned, getting in there, having them click on the answers. Now it's kind of giving them an idea of what's coming next. There's an activity. You're going to need audio for this activity. And we're in the get ready phase. And then after we go, we're kind of practicing what we've done. After we go through the get ready phase, we're going to kind of get into the lesson. So here there's either an audio something or a video, something for them to watch and get started with. Now we're into the learn. You can see up here, it tells you right what you're doing. So now you're into learning. After you get through this part, there is usually, well, most of the time, here we go, there's that offline lesson part. So it tells you, okay, it's time to go offline. Here's the materials you are going to need. Go ahead and grab those. Gives you the information, follow the instructions in the Learning Coach lesson guide. I've got a couple other things they're going to have me do offline here. Here's my math page. I can click here. I know TDFs were giving you guys trouble. And as I go through, now I'm at the end of my lesson. For elementary, I can go in and start this. This is the Learning Coach part. I can go in and start this, enter my students' scores that they did probably from that PDF or something, enter those in. And then I also put in my attendance for the day and mark the lesson complete. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the lesson looks like for that elementary school student. Okay. So here's my plan. This was just my plan. I can also go into courses as a student, and I'll know exactly how I'm doing at any point. You should be able to ask your student, even though you can look in the Learning Coach page. It's also good to let your student know they can see this as well. I can come in here. I can see how I'm doing in math. It says I have an I and complete, 25%. If I want more information, I can click on it. Same with the other, remember I talked about the grade book and Learning Coach. same area, same type of thing. I can come in and see how I did. This lesson didn't get completed because I didn't score 80% or higher. So I need to go in with my learning coach, practice that, come back and retake it. I can also look at my grade book. So any grades that I have in there from my grade book. I have a messages area that I can go into and read any messages that my teacher has, or maybe announcements. And then I have this resource area. And here's that big universal library that your students can go in through here. There's an Engage website that I highly recommend you going in and checking out. There's videos to get started. There's learning coach resources. There's just all sorts of things for your students to go in and look at as well. And that encyclopedia. So I'm going to stop here before we go to middle school and just kind of check the chat. Give me a second. I'm scrolling up. Is not in Stride, receive the books and materials, but we can't go in Stride. So Maribel, check sometimes the email, it's from registration. Actually, it'll say registration. I think K-12 is who it's from.
Kristen,
But sometimes it goes.
I just found her information. She's actually,
Wonderful.
he's actually misassigned. So he's been assigned to the wrong family. So I'm going to send this information to Samantha right now. So that way we can correct that.
Anthony's on it. Awesome. So you don't have to look, but you could still look if anybody's missing their login. You can look in your junk folder. Sometimes it does go there. Barry, so his question is, does a student have a registration ID, or just myself as a learning coach? Just yourself as the learning coach has the student as the registration ID. That's going to come in that email. After you create your learning coach account, it should ask you to create a student account. Jocelyn says, sometimes it says loading and never loads. I'm guessing since we're in the students online school, maybe that's the case. Was it in the students online school? I would just make sure you have a strong internet connection, because that does make a big difference, especially with Wi-Fi. It doesn't always have that strong connection. So get close to your router or whatever it is, because that will help kind of speed things up.
Kristen, it says here that sometimes the tests have to log off and log in again. They're able to continue the test even if they're logged off or pushed out, or maybe lose Wi-Fi in the middle of it. Are they able to continue?
Okay, so say that question one more time.
Okay, so Jocelyn says that I have to log off and log in again. And I'm wondering if she's taking a test, is she able to log in and log off, or log off and log in again without interrupting her assessment?
So I'm trying to remember. If your student is taking an assessment online, I don't remember if you have, I have to look into that one, if it saves where you're at, or if you need to go back in and put it back in from the beginning. I'd have to look into that one for you.
Okay.
Let me write that one down. Hold on. Take part of assessment and log out and continue.
I love Marisol's question about allowing social clubs, because this is something that I have not even heard of before. I'm like, wow, see, you guys are even learning more than I am right now. I don't know about social clubs. Maybe you can address that better.
Yes, so we do have social clubs. I'm so glad you found them. We have social clubs that you can join. We also have virtual field trips. We usually do them twice a month, and that your student can join and come to. But those social clubs are online, completely optional. If you'd like your student to join, or if your student wants to join, you are more than welcome to log into those. I've heard really good things about Lego Club. So you're not seeing your school or district listed. Let me look into that, because that's actually my specialty. So school I'll look into this, see, making sure it's listed. If it's not in there, I will work on getting it added on it. Yeah, no problem. They're fun. Kids have a lot of fun with that. There's also challenges that they can do and contests. Okay, so I'm going to jump into middle school. Oh, so that's a great, so Marisol is like all over it. So she's already downloaded the Stride app. So with that, I do want to mention the Stride app is more geared toward our managed public school side, and you guys are not a managed public school. So not everything in that app will work. So you'll go in there and you'll be like, a lot of questions we get is, why can't we enter attendance? It's not hooked up with our side. It's for the managed public school side. So you will see that not everything in there is going to work. So just a heads up there, don't get frustrated with it. It's specific for managed public schools. but you found it, so that's cool. Okay, so here's middle school. As I come in here as a middle school student, I have this first screen here. If I want to get started, I'm going to go to my schedule. And as I come in, once my teacher has gotten in here and put assignments in for my student, you will see assignments here. Your student can see them. Also, again, those Class Connect sessions over here is how they can get to those once your teacher puts them in. So if you're not seeing anything here, that's okay. It just hasn't started yet. So I can start my lesson by clicking right here. It will take me automatically into my lesson. Again, these will show me if my activity is completed. This one is a module, so it has multiple items within it. So I have to click here to see my progress. I can look at my daily view, or I can look at my weekly view to see what I'm doing this week. I also have this overdue. So this overdue really sticks out for those middle school students. And you will find overdue assignments more for middle school. That's kind of what the teacher does and puts those in there, not as much in elementary. So you can't miss, the student can't miss that they have something going on between the 14 here and the 14 over here. If I want to see what those are, I can click on it and it'll show me which assignments I have not completed. Your student will not have 14, but if you see one by chance, just talk to your teacher, figure out what you need to do to get that made up. Going back to my schedule, I can come in here, like I mentioned, I can click on assignments and it'll actually take me to that assignment to work on. I'm going to click on the course because I wanted to show you what it looks like as a learning coach as well. So remember I said it looks a little different learning coach wise. If you were to click on a course in the learning coach screen, it's going to bring you to this view of the course. And as a student, I clicked on my student view of the course. It brings me to this view of the course. So you guys have the same view once you click on the link. I can see my grade, how I'm doing, my progress, if there's anything overdue. Again, those 14 stand out. If there's any sessions, if there's any announcements from my teacher over here, upcoming events that I need to kind of look at. Okay, I have some items due coming up. And then again, just like everything else, the more you click on, the more information you get. So I can go into my plan and see the plan for the week or the month. I can look at content, and this is going to show me all of my lessons and take me through those. So give me a second. I did want to point this out as well. So here's my lessons. It has my units of study, course materials for this course, but it has the same type of course setup or lesson setup as the K-5. You're going to do a get ready, something you already know you're going to practice. You're going to learn something. You're going to give it a practice again, and then you're going to review it. So that's kind of how all our lessons are set up. And let me stop here because I see a lot coming in. So hold on 1 minute. No, great question. So no, you do not need to download the Stride app. I actually suggest not downloading it because it doesn't work with our side. It works with the managed public schools. So I would not do that. And I will let me check on materials and where we are with that, because it seems like a lot of you have materials questions. So I know I have one specifically for history, but let me just check on materials in general. So there's a question about reaching out to a Stride teacher. So you guys do not have a Stride teacher, you have your school's teacher, and those aren't all in there yet. So as they get in there, they'll be put in. So right now, who should they reach out to, Anthony, if they have questions that, I think you said, I forget what you called them, the two people that were helping?
Yes, I put that in the chat down below, which is right now the teachers that they're reaching out to are being released from the classroom this week and next week. So they may not have had a chance to even look through the Stride website yet. And so right now, all questions you can ask myself or Mr. Huffaker and Ms. Akeda, who are doing the live sessions with the students.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I see that now. Okay, so Marisol, so yes, you can, this is, she said she works from content, not that schedule page. What you will want to keep in mind is once your teacher's in there, they will start to schedule things on that schedule page. So you please, please, please check that schedule page, because that's where their assignments are going to come from their teacher. And those are the ones that will then be overdue. So definitely make sure you, yes, perfect. Okay. Okay, so then within I'm in just math still. I went to content. When I click on a course as a parent, it says it's only viewable by student, correct? So it'll go in and it should actually allow you to log in. It says it's only available by student. I believe you click OK, and then it goes to the student view. So over here, I have progress. So if I want to see more information about my grades as a student, I can do that here. Grades is very similar to progress. So I'm going to show you progress because I can click on my grades area and it'll show me all my grades for this course. So here are my grades. I can see all of my grades for this course and how I've done. If I scroll down, I can also see any objectives. But over here on the left-hand side is something important to kind of point out too, is if your teacher has any discussion board questions for you guys to work on, any assignments, quizzes, they will show up here as well if you're kind of planning in advance, want to see what's going on. I'm going to go back to my home page. And my schedule, again, is where I said this, the teacher is going to put any assignments that they're asking you to complete as a student. It'll have the due date here, so they'll know exactly when it's due. Classes here also gives your student that overall snapshot of how they're doing. So I can look here, I've got an A in math, I'm doing great. Again, there's that 14 overdue assignments I need to look at. If I want to get more information on this, I click on go to class. That's where we just were, and it'll give me more information on how I'm doing. So there's kind of multiple ways you can get to places. And then finally, there's this announcements area that has announcements from your teacher or school. And last but not least, there's that big universe library. There's the paperclip over here, big universe library. This will take you to your Class Connect sessions once your teacher has them all in there. They're not in there yet. The Engage website I talked about, and the encyclopedia. So let me jump back here.
For logging in hours, where would they go for that? Is that just as the student view, or is this the parent view?
So for K5, you log in hours. For 6, 8, you're not logging in any hours. The computer will keep the hours on that they're on the computer, the time they're on the computer. And then also marking the lesson complete shows that they're putting in their time. So it's different for middle school.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no, great question. Received notifications saying your materials couldn't be delivered and were sent back. Oh goodness, oh no, that's not good. So hold on, I want to think first. So please check, hold on, I'm gonna jump back to my parent page. I want to make sure your address is correct. So, and this is something you can go in and check. If you go to your parent account, so I'm just in my parent account. If you come to the top up here and you go to my account, it has, oh, here it is. It has your address up here at the right. I was looking at the left, but it has your address. First, check and make sure that your address is correct, because something could have gotten wonky and missed a number or something. So check and make sure that that's correct. And then I would email or call your temporary teachers to give them a heads up, because they can then go in, either change your address, because they can get in there and do that. But start there for making sure your address is correct, because sometimes it isn't. How do we retake quizzes, tests, retake? Yes, great question. So you can go in here and retake your quizzes. You get 3 tries to retake it. And it takes your students' last score. So it doesn't combine scores, it doesn't average scores, it's the last score they did. And then you can do that by just going into the lesson itself and doing it from the lesson itself. They'll also be in the elementary. There is that not mastered area. That's how you'd find it in elementary. But for those older grades, you can go in there. Sometimes teachers will have it marked, so there's only one chance you can do it. And if that's the case, reach out to your teacher and see if it's possible to retake it. But it depends on how it's set up. Yes, great question. So there are some materials you will return at the end of the year. So what you'll get is, at the end of the year, you'll get a return shipping label emailed to you. You print it out, and it'll have also a list of what to return, but usually it's items like math manipulatives, things like that, workbook pages and stuff. You keep those because you guys are working in them. But that would be, your address is correct. Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked. So that would be at the end of the year, you get that return shipping labels. You received some materials, but one box wasn't delivered. Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to have access, but let me just see. I'm bringing it up on my page. I may, Jessica, if you give me 1 second, I may have access to look and see what's going on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So give me just 1 second. And if anybody else has any other questions, that's pretty much what I was going to show you in the online school. So feel free. If your package was missing an item, yes, please contact. I think there's a number on there for materials that comes with it, but please contact them and let them know that you are missing materials. That's, sometimes it does happen. I've got to get into another system to see if I can find your information. Hold on. And I'm just going to stop sharing so I can make sure I don't show you anybody's personal information. So give me 1 second. Nope, I don't have access to your school. So Jessica, I don't want you to put your student's information in there because it's personal. But can you tell me if your student has the same last name as you? That'll give me a place to start. No, okay. So I'm gonna look for you as a learning coach then. Okay. Box missing. Could not deliver. Okay, making a note of that. And it's all okay. Okay, so hold on, I'm just scrolling through. There's lots of questions coming in, which is great. Just give me a second. Let me look at them. And there's someone asking if the package is missing an item. I can grab that number for you. Hold on 1 second. That way you don't have to look either. I'll just keep looking. Sometimes it's in there, buried in there. So hold on 1 second.
While you're looking for that, I'm going to answer Ms. Moreno's question, which is for middle school, if you didn't have a chance to check in or attend the live class. So in terms of reporting attendance for that, so what our teachers are doing is they're first marking attendance for students that are present. And then secondly, they'll look back on kids who have accessed the following day, because I think it won't be until the following day to see if a student has logged into Stride or not. So then we'll be able to follow up with that to see if a student has not did not attend class or did not log in any hours on Stride. And so at that point, they would be marked absent if neither one of those occurred. So how would you report an attendance? Just you would contact the teacher or myself for the time being if you needed them to do an absence.
Okay, and I put the Stride support number in there. So if you are missing materials, they will have access to everybody's information. So jot that number down. It's also just a great support number. So it's good to have. Adrian, I'll write you down as well as having issues with materials. I gotcha. Sorry, that hasn't been corrected. I know that's frustrating.
I'm also going to add a question that a parent sent me. She asked if I could relay that to you.
Yes, definitely.
So we've had some questions coming up with the little check mark. I see Robert asked a question with the check mark, or it'll say sometimes that they won't show the check mark when they've completed an assignment. Is that a common issue, or why might that?
No, so it means something in the lesson hasn't been completed. So if it's maybe they didn't do the practice area and do all the questions in the practice area, that could be a reason why. So if it's not giving you that check mark, there's something in there that has not been completed. So it's not just putting in the end of the lesson's answers at the very end. You have to kind of go through the lesson and answering those.
Okay, and that would be for middle school and K-5?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Anthony, that's interesting. All week. 3 courses, it shows all the courses, then all of a sudden it says you completed all courses for today, then it shows like 2 courses completed. Are you talking, Anthony? Are you talking sorry, other Anthony in the chat, Anthony? Are you talking courses or lessons? Is it showing the courses complete or the lessons complete?
It says, well, I guess she quoted it saying, it says you completed all courses for today, then it only shows 2 courses completed. Does that mean that they only received 2 courses when it should have shown all courses?
It should, if you're looking at the learning coach view or student view, really, it should show all of these completed with a green check mark at the end of the day. Let me get somebody who's actually got in here. But they should show green check marks. So it's all been completed, unless there's that like little folder that you saw with middle school that has multiple ones in it. It will still show the folder. But these would all be marked completed.
Okay. Yes, please ask Leandra. This is the time to ask all these questions here.
Thank you. So I just have a question about the attendance. Okay. So even though Stride does record the amount of time they spend on the website, right? They do that.
For middle school. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my son's in 5th. Okay. So we still have to input the hours completed for each assignment.
For fifth grade, yes. For kindergarten through fifth grade, at the end of the lesson, you put those hours in, yes.
Okay, so we, I mean, does it have to be to the T, like exactly the amount, like, do we have to, I don't know, like time them, or if they completed the whole lesson, let's say in less amount of time, do we still put the full amount of time, or does that, I don't know.
I'm gonna have to defer to Anthony on that one and what you guys as a district do.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so if they finish an assignment in less amount of time than what is allotted for it, let's say it's 60 minutes and they finish in 50, something like that. Do we put in 50, or would then that not count because it's not the full amount of time? Should we still put the whole?
If you're the learning coach and you're inputting the hours through your coach system, I would just put the full amount of time, 60.
Okay.
It'll just make it easy for you than trying to like add up minutes here and minutes there. So I would just say it took them the full amount of time to complete that task, especially if they're that close to it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because there's going to be some assignments that the kids might be spending more time on. At some point, it'll all even out.
Yeah.
So plus if you nitpick, then what's going to end up showing, like if kids are finishing it in 3 hours and 47 minutes, and we needed to start nitpicking, you might be like, well, you're not doing it in the 4 to 6 hour range. So this kind of just makes sure that they worked on that assignment. Plus you have to kind of give time in a class that's an hour long. You imagine that a teacher is going to spend time to go over the directions, or they're going to be materials that are going to be taken out. So even in an hour class at school is not always an hour of pure students just sitting down and working for the entire hour. So that's why, give your own child that time to where it may take them 45 minutes to complete an hour assignment or so. But if they're going over an hour, definitely give them credit for that as well. So you definitely want to show that they're working over that time.
Yeah, that'll give your teacher too, because your teacher for elementary can then see, okay, they're doing 2 hours of math. That's a red flag. Oh my gosh, I need to jump in and see what's going on and if they need help.
I'm sorry, just for the extra hours, so let's say there's 2 boxes, right? One side says the 60 minutes. If it's extra time, are we allowed to put that extra time in there? Will it accept it?
Yes,
Or is
it
there
will.
another place to put the extra time?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, it'll let you go over that 60.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, good question. It does, I see another question about shipping. So if you've not received anything about shipping yet, that your materials are not out there yet, it does take about 4 days after you get in the system to kind of get all your shipping material ready and ready to be shipped out. So I don't know when everybody got in the system, but it does take some time to kind of get all those materials ready to be shipped out. There's questions about, are we sending and emailing in pages done from workbooks? If your teacher specifically asks for something and they want to see your students' work, then yes, but they would let you know that ahead of time, but not on a daily basis. You're not sending in workbook pages and things like that.
No, for the most part, the role as the learning coach yourself is to be there to kind of check the work pages that the students are doing themselves.
There's a question here about the study guide. When they reference the study guide, are you talking the learning coach lesson guide, maybe? Or is it actually the study guide? On the student view. Okay, hold on. Let me jump in. Give me a second. Let me pull it back up. That makes me think just something to the study guide to study for, but let me look and double check here so I can see what you're seeing, hopefully. I'm gonna have to find one though. On the student view, it says study guide. It references in almost the start of every lesson. Okay, hold on. Let me take a look. Okay. I was looking in the learning coach first just to be sure. I'm going to grab a student view. The one I'm seeing says lesson guide, which would be the teacher. I'm not seeing student view, but let me look at a different one. If you guys have questions, feel free to jump in. Oh, there's a question about how do we open PDFs without Office Word software? Anthony, I think you said that you guys had a workaround for that.
We've been having students open up some of the PDFs in Notability, which is an app in self-service that they can open up. So if they open up the PDF and it gives them the option to open up Notability, that's one way. You would have to download Notability from the self-service app that's on the student iPad. And any questions or support that you have with that, you can go into our office hours from 2 to 3 and our coaches can help you solve that or figure that part out.
And I'm still looking for the study guide area. So I'm not seeing it in the ones I'm looking at, not to say it's not there, but I will ask one of our teachers on our side and see what they see and get back with you guys on Anthony know, and he can share study guide.
So Kristen, let's say that the music link has not been working, right? We're probably going to ask the teachers, and I'm not sure if it's something that we need to go with Stride and say, hey, maybe the iPads are not compatible with the music links. Maybe we need to change it to art as that extra activity that we're asking parents to do. But in the meantime, like if the kids were doing some other type of music, they could always log in that different type of music, maybe that's similar. I don't know if they're able to see with the lesson that the music link was offering, but for right now, we're probably going to end up hiding or just asking parents to skip those lessons if they're not working.
I put in the time, yes, and there'll be some time in there that they're doing within the lesson itself. If they can put that time in, go for it. So you have some time in. But like Anthony said, it's probably, we'll look into it. I'm actually asking about it. I was typing to see if I could get any information while we were on.
So what we're finding is there's less issues that are going on when you're using laptops or any type of laptops. Some of the parents are saying like, oh, we're able to access those links when we're using other devices.
So iPads, maybe.
Notability for Chromebook or laptops. Notability is an app to open up a PDF on a laptop or Chromebook. Check in with our office hours and one of our coaches, Mr. Huffager, may be able to help you with that. I love that creativity using National Geographic. I think if you're very purposeful on why you're choosing to have them watch those National Geographic videos, and if it's something like we're studying this period or we're studying something, then I absolutely would give students credit. If students have a natural interest in saying like, I want to know more about Civil War, I want to know more about World War I, and they're kind of taking that on themselves to watch YouTube videos, or if they're reading books on that, I would absolutely give them time, give them that credit for logging in those times, even if they're not necessarily specifically with Stride. I would definitely though give them time, the credit for those extra minutes there.
Sorry, I have another question. So what if I heard from the last Zoom that sometimes they can go ahead if they want to. And the thing is, if they, hold on. If they, if they do that, they go ahead, how do you log in? Like, do they have to log in time for that, you know, for the next day? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So if they do work for the next day, I guess, can you, and they do it ahead of time, can you just log those hours in the following day kind of thing? Because if you can go ahead, like you guys said that they can, how do you put in the time for that?
So let's say that they love math and they just want to do like 3 hours of math. And you're like, well, why don't we save some of those hours and give you credit over 2 days of math? Is that what you're asking? Like if they wanted to just continue push on and do like 3 lessons of math, can they get credit for the next day's math? So I think our policy is going to be if they love and do 3 hours of math, then the next day they just kind of continue on with the next lesson from there. I don't think our district would allow for a kid to say like spend 10 hours in school and then say like, now I have the next 2 days off. So I think if they love what they're doing, spending those 10 hours of school, then the next day they just, they have the next 4 hours they can do or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
But the great question that you asked, Andra, is that if kids do like a particular subject area, like in math or language arts, and they want to continue with it, there's nothing holding them back. And Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, like technically a student can complete even a full year of studies before the year is over. Is that correct?
Technically, yes. And then it would be up to you all if you're giving the next year or if you're just stopping there and then they do the rest of their lessons. That's kind of a choice of the district.
All right, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, the only thing is you do, if that's something that you are going to do, you want to make sure that you are working with your teacher, because you don't want to get to, let's say, February, March, and you finished math, and now if they do let you start another one, then you can't finish by the end of the school year. So that's just kind of, you got to work on timing and just really work with your teacher and let them know, I'd say.
Okay. All right, well, we've been on now with Kristen for a good hour and 20 minutes. So I want to, unless you have any last second questions, anything you want to throw in at her before we go, I want to just appreciate all the time that that she's been here with us. Again, I want to appreciate all of your patients, parents, the learning curve that we're all going through right now. And so it's sort of similar to last year, year and a half ago, when we all went to spring on Zoom, and everybody had to learn what Zoom was, and we had to learn what distance learning was like. And so for us, we're also in that learning curve where we're sort of building a school. We're now technically the 12th school in our district, and so we have to. Normally, we have the summer to get this ready, but we have the first 3 weeks of school. So I appreciate your patience, and we're doing everything that we can to answer your questions and have your child succeed in this program as well. So thank you very much. I'm thinking of a school mascot, and if you guys like the independent school bedheads, that's what I'm thinking, right? So or the Rise and Shiners, I don't know, we'll think about that. But thank you very much, everybody, for logging on. And if you have any further questions, please let me know, and we can forward those to Kristen and Samantha, who are our Stride representatives.
And I'll get back with you on, or Sam will, on the questions that were asked today. So if you guys have those questions, I will get back with Anthony, so I won't leave you hanging.
Okay, thank you. And